Hello and welcome back to the main stage. Just a quick reminder over on our speed networking session right now, it's Women in Event Tech. If you want to get involved with that and you've forgotten about it, get over there now, get involved. But if you're staying here on the main stage, up next we have using immersive technologies to deliver better experiences online. I'm really excited about this. I always think that an online event shouldn't just be an event, it should be an experience for your delegates. So very much looking forward to hear about how immersive technologies can help make that better. So to introduce this session, I'd like to invite our next speaker from Cassette. It's Mr. Ben Taylor. Hello, Ben. How are you, sir?
Hello, I'm very good, thank you. Very good to see you.
And you, thanks very much for joining us for this. As I said, really interesting about the new immersive technologies and how they can really drive better experiences online. So if you are ready, the floor is yours.
I'm ready. Thank you very much. Well, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining. This very catchy title of the presentation, using immersive technologies to deliver better experiences online. Perhaps should have thought about that a little bit more before submitting it. My name's Ben Taylor. I'm the head of a business called Cassette. It's an immersive technology studio. We're part of a company called TRO Group. TRO Group you may have heard of. It's an experiential marketing business. I personally have grown up through that business. I've got a lot of experience and background within experiential marketing and events before moving over into this immersive technology side of the world afterwards. So I've got a blend of that kind of experiential marketing and technology, which is what I'm bringing to this today. If anyone wants to find out a little bit more about what I've been doing and me, have put my LinkedIn link down the bottom there. There's about 1 million Ben Taylors, which is why I put it on there in case you want to try and find me. So you might be thinking a little bit, what on earth is this all about? This talk that I'm doing here. Well, in simpler terms, really, what I'm talking about is this. It's the metaverse. The metaverse is a term that only a few months ago, when I put this title onto this presentation, was not really known by anybody. So I didn't use the word metaverse. But over the course of the last 2 or 3 months, really, it started to become more and more prevalent in the general psyche for the public. And that's been accelerated even more so, really, in the last week or so, with the launch of Meta by Facebook, so their parent company, our friend Mr. Zuckerberg over there, and his vision for their business to become very much a metaverse business. So this term has really come to the fore, really, of the last couple of weeks and couple of months. So what this is about is it's all about the metaverse. I'm going to do a bit of an introduction today about Cassette, who we are, what we do, why we are in a position to talk about this as a topic, why we're slightly qualified to talk about this, and then have a look at what is a metaverse. There might be some people out there that are thinking, what on earth is this? What does it mean? So we can go through a little bit of that. Where is it heading in the future? So what are the possibilities? What are the opportunities that are coming out of this in the future? And then bringing it back at the end to what can we do? What can we do now? How do we make this relevant for us, for our brands, and for our clients right now? So Cassette, you can visit our website by just scanning the QR code there if you want to take a look at some point after the talk, please. We're an immersive technology studio. That means we deal with technologies like real-time technologies, like Unreal Engine, which is the technology that powers computer games like Fortnite and many other computer games. We're specialists in that. We use that technology and we design, develop and deliver virtual reality experiences, augmented reality experiences, and immersive web. And immersive web is a term that we've coined really for the sort of the start of this metaverse experience, these immersive 3D worlds that you can interact with and engage online. We do that predominantly for a few reasons, really. Training, education, and communication, specifically within the enterprise space. So we're not generally creating consumer-based products, but we're working with clients and with businesses to use these technologies for specific use cases. So I think what that allows us to do is to understand, where do these technologies have relevance now? Where are they? Where can they be implemented that really add value, have a return on investment, and can make an impact? That's something that we really take into account. So our solutions are business focused. We look at, how do they improve the delivery of communication? How do they improve the outcomes that you get from training? Or how do you improve the delivery of education to people, but while reducing costs at the same time compared to traditional pathways? And I think it's important to go through that, because these technologies in the past have been seen as gimmicks, often on budget lines. They're the ones that get struck off first and foremost when there isn't budget there. And what we're seeing is that when used right and used in the right way, these technologies can have a really big impact on a business and on outcomes, in terms of achieving ROI and better outcomes at the same time. So that's what we're really focused on, is looking at those business focused solutions. Just going to show a little video of the type of work we're doing. This is some metaverse type experiences we're doing for Takeda that I'm going to show you later. Some educational pieces for BMW, VR training for healthcare professionals, how to treat patients, immersive environments, 3D web environments for healthcare as well, and these 3D environments in the event space. This is something for Goodwood Festival Speed and Mini, recreating that event experience online as well, to give it further longevity and legs beyond the live event. So a really quick snapshot there of just some of the type of work that we're doing in this immersive space. And we do that with a number of clients, some great clients. We work a lot in the healthcare space, a lot in the automotive space, but we're not just limited to that. There are some other clients that we work with outside of that, and here's just a little snapshot of those. So I suppose predominantly, what's a metaverse? What does it mean? And there's a few definitions that are out there. Google says it's a virtual reality space in which users can interact with a computer-generated environment and other users. Wikipedia is a term typically used to describe the concept of a future iteration of the internet, made up of persistent shared 3D virtual spaces linked into a perceived virtual universe, which is a little bit confusing. The way that we like to think of it or describe this in a simplistic form is, if you think of computer games like Fortnite, which some people will probably be aware of it in some form, these, whether it's they play them or children play them, it is something that's becoming more visible to non-gamers anyway. But a game like Fortnite it's a multiplayer platform. It's a 3D virtual immersive world that users enter and engage with. You can roam around that space quite freely. You can interact with other users. And it's all based on this real-time game engine technology. So when we describe it in its simplest form, particularly when we're trying to create these metaverses for our clients, we say, well, it's Fortnite for business. It's without the mass shootings, for example. So that's where we're heading, and that's the kind of thing that we're looking for. In the current market, these metaverse type experiences are very much dominated at the moment by gaming. So you've got things like Fortnite, and also Roblox, which is another metaverse type gaming experience. It's available online, right? You download an application to your computer, and you can access that through a laptop or a mobile device very, very simply. There are pros and cons to different types of these metaverse experiences. The Fortnite experience, you need generally you need an expensive gaming PC or gaming console to access it, and that allows you to have amazing graphics, amazing interactions in terms of the controls that you use, and also to be able to interact with other users. The Roblox version is something that you can download and use on almost any device, but because of that, you sacrifice a little bit of that graphical quality because you don't have the high-end machine. There are other experiences out there. So the Facebook Horizon one, which we'll talk a little bit about in terms of Meta, a little bit later in the presentation, that's accessible through VR headsets, for example. And then there are other web-based experiences at the same time. So Earth 2 there, I put an example there of Earth 2, which is essentially they've mapped out the whole of the Earth virtually. So you can go in there, find plots of land, you can buy plots of land. People are buying these, and they're very expensive, becoming very expensive. And people are making that gamble that Earth 2 is going to be a metaverse in the future that people are going to want to interact and engage with, and this virtual land that they're buying is going to have some value. And then there are other experiences like what we're developing, which is the one down the bottom there, Virtual View, which is a web-based immersive web experience that we're creating that I will come on and sort of chat to a little bit later. But the point here is that there are trade-offs for all of these, whether it's you need expensive hardware to access them, or you reduce some of the visual quality or the amount of interaction to make it more accessible over web. We've gone down a certain route because we are specifically trying to engage with business users and customers. And again, I'll come on to that a little bit later. So within the current market, there are a number of experiences, and people may have seen these already that are happening and are out there. Within Fortnite and Roblox, there are concerts that are happening. There's Ariana Grande, Lil Nas, some others that I equally don't know as well. They're doing concerts within these game engines. The O2, you can see down here, getting involved with Fortnite as well, backing up their music credentials within that space. Hyundai popping up in Roblox with their brand to promote that. The important thing here to register is these are brands or artists that are targeting existing gamers. They're taking their products or their music and taking it to that gaming world and those users. The Balenciaga example is a slightly different one, and is quite interesting in that they created their own game for their fans to download, and they're taking this game engine technology and putting it in the hands of non-gamers. And that is something that requires a lot of consideration, that if we're taking this technology and trying to take it to non-gamers, we need to make sure that A, it's accessible, because non-gamers aren't going to have those consoles, the hardware. As users, we're very, very reluctant to do anything that has any barrier to engagement, even a download. And also, if we get onto one of these experiences and they're difficult to operate because we're not gamers, we don't know how to use the controls, we'll get frustrated and we'll go off it quite quickly. So these are all things that we need to consider when we're looking at taking these technologies to engage with that non-gaming community. So where is this heading in the future? Well, here's our friend Mark again, who last week, or yes, I think in the last week, made this announcement about Meta, the group company for Facebook, and their push into being a metaverse business. They did this hour-long keynote presentation, and during that, they very, very eloquently and elegantly described of what the future of this technology is. And it's a very interesting and quite exciting view of the future of these technologies. You can have a look at it by going to that link there. You can have a look at that keynote presentation that they did, and I would recommend it. It's good. And whatever you think of Facebook and their practices and the way that they've behaved in the past, which is apparent for everybody, their vision for the future is really, really exciting. And I think it's important to point out that they're not the only ones that are doing it. So this doesn't mean that we're going to be tied to a virtual world powered by Facebook in the future. They will be one of the companies that are out there, but there will be a number of others at the same time. I have unashamedly taken some of the references and images that they've used as part of their presentation to describe what the future of the metaverse looks like as part of this presentation, because like I said, they can do it a lot better than I certainly can. But I've just called out some key points to bring out. But really, in terms of where this is going, there may be some people who've seen this film, Ready Player One, which is all about a virtual reality metaverse type experience. And it's not going to be far off, I think, in the future. And certainly even in the near future, we're going to have a lot of features that you see in that film coming to life. Certainly the direction that we're heading. So these spaces, these metaverse worlds, are going to be made up of these 3D worlds that we can explore and we can navigate, and those worlds can be as fantastical as we want them to be. You can be in a spaceship, you could be on the moon, you can be on the Tower of London, or wherever you want to be. These worlds will be created, and we will be able to explore and navigate them as we wish, and as we become more familiar with those types of technology. These worlds we will be able to access and enter through virtual reality headsets, augmented reality, and web-based technologies. And it's important to state here that these are things that are already happening in certain forms, but this is going to bring it all together under one roof, essentially, bring all of these technologies and knit them together. These are going to be spaces where we interact with each other. So our Zoom calls are going to become much more personal and face-to-face as we do them through virtual reality or even through the web-based interface. But there will be this sense of presence as you are represented by individual characters or avatars. We'll be using these to interact with friends, with other users, and also with colleagues. This will be interoperable across devices. So whether you have decided to join this space with a VR headset or through a mobile phone or a laptop, these will all interconnect and you will be able to join through whichever medium you have accessible to you at that point. And these are then going to become places where business is done, where you can buy experiences, where you can buy products, where you can view art as well, 3D art. And suddenly these things called NFTs, which people may have heard about, which non-fungible tokens, which could seem completely baffling, where you can buy essentially the ownership of a piece of digital art or even just a digital asset. But when we're in these metaverse worlds, suddenly that will be able to follow us around and you can have a sense of ownership. So these NFTs that have made very little sense to me previously are starting to make a little sense. As I said here, if only a little. And these experiences across metaverses will cross between physical and virtual events. Whether it's you as a virtual avatar being transported to a physical event, or all of you collectively visiting a virtual concert as is happening now with the likes of Fortnite and Roblox and things like that. But these two spaces are absolutely going to mix one way or another. And as well as for pleasure, we'll be entering these experiences, these worlds for business as well. We will be using these spaces like we do for meetings, for our Zoom calls, which will become much more personal, We'll be using it more for training and education, as we can all get together in the same virtual room and look at certain machinery or different problems from different angles, because we have that interactivity that comes with virtual for education, collaboration, and much more. And within these spaces as well, avatars are certainly going to become more of a thing. They are there in the game engine technologies at the moment, and certain online sort of metaverse type experiences. But they're getting more and more sophisticated. There is going to be these gamified type avatars, as you can see here on the left hand side, and whether those represent you and the design to look like you, or whether you want to have something that looks like a robot, for example, as I showed earlier on in the presentation. You can look like whatever you want. But through to these images on the right hand side, these are actual digital avatars that are being created using technology, and they're becoming incredibly sophisticated. So this the one particularly the bottom right hand one, that is a virtual person. You can see right down to pores on their skin, and those are the types of avatars as well that could be coming our way, that will be able to represent us online. So what can we do now with these technologies? This is everything that's coming in the future, and it could and should be amazing if it's done properly. But how do we apply these technologies now, and what makes them relevant for our businesses? Well, there's obviously virtual conferences that people are aware of, and applying them in that sense. There's doing the concerts through Roblox and the games that are out there as well. But there's another way. The way that we are looking at this is, how do we take these technologies and take them to customers online for our clients? And the kind of thing that we're doing is with this technology called Virtual View. It's a platform that we have created, and if this plays, it's going to play. Yeah. And what we have done is we've decided to take this technology and make it as accessible as possible for consumers. So make it accessible through a web navigation, so you can access it online without having to download anything, without having any game engine powered hardware behind you. Make it really, really accessible. We felt that was key to delivering these types of experiences for our clients and their customers. We also felt that I was talking earlier about trade-offs, and the visual aspect of this is really, really important. So making it look really good is important for our clients. So we have decided to pare back some of the controls that you might have with other game engine type experiences to make it simpler, to allow us to have that graphical quality in this instance. And we have also purposefully pared back those controls that you have when you go onto these games, to make them really simple for users to use and to navigate. Because again, as I said before, we know that these people come on, they're not gamers, they don't know how to use this technology. So let's make it as simple as we possibly can. And this is going to change over time as people become more familiar with these technologies and understand how to use it. But as we're introducing them to new users, we need to make sure that experience is as seamless as it possibly can. So that's the kind of thing that we are, the approach that we're doing, or that we're taking to these technologies is starting simplistically to get people engaging with them. And also, I think it's important to point out that these technologies can be used not just for experiences in terms of doing events, but we can start to take that philosophy that we have with experiential marketing, creating events and creating experiences, and we can start to apply that into the digital world. So we can take the same thinking and apply it to, as we've done here, a project we did for Google around unboxing a new Chromebook. Chromebook is a device. It doesn't have the same operating software as a PC or a Mac. It's slightly different, And we use this technology to educate people on how to use that device. So when you're unboxing the device, you scan a QR code, you find yourself in a virtual apartment designed by Google on your phone, and you can navigate around that 3D environment very, very simply and learn about the device in different areas of that apartment. And it's important that we're using this to do that, because we know that when people experience something, they're much more likely to remember key details and information. You're likely to remember 75% of something that you do and experience versus only 20% of something that you read or watch. So taking that philosophy and that knowledge that we have from experiential and applying it into this virtual world can be really, really effective. And another example here was something that we did for Takeda. Takeda are a Japanese pharmaceutical business, and they were looking at ways of how do they communicate their corporate philosophy, their corporate culture to their 50,000 employees globally. And this is having just acquired another business and integrating that business into their own during a pandemic. And they have this philosophy of a Hirameki garden, which is a Japanese garden. And each area of the garden means something slightly different about the company. So we created this virtual immersive metaverse type world that lives on their intranet, and their employees can visit the intranet and go and explore this virtual garden and learn about who Takeda are and what they stand for. As you can see here, so the environment is visually great. We have animations with the characters and animations in terms of the scene, and the user can move about the space. But we have limited the types of interaction that you can have to keep it simple. So they're not having to learn how to be gamers in order to come here and interact. It's simple click and drag and move about the space. Each of these different areas means something differently. There are various hotspots there that you can click on and interact and find out information. I'm not clicking on them in this example just because it's internal information. But as you click on them, you can find out information about the business. And this is something that now is a piece of technology that's on their intranet system that they continually invest in over time and upgrade and improve on. And we're adding more and more interactions in here. So there's things like a Twitter wall where employees can leave messages about why they like working for Takeda, or Takeda can ask questions to their employees and they can answer them through that space as well. There is also the ability here to host town hall type experiences, so virtual conferences. You come into the treehouse as they've done here, and take part in a virtual conference, a little bit like we're doing now. So you can start to combine these two worlds and get lots of ROI out of this one virtual world. So just some final thoughts really on this. So immersive web technology or metaverse technology, it is a tool that we can use, and it can be used now as well as in the future. There are companies that are using it now, and as it gets better over time, those ones that are using it now, I feel, will be at the forefront of that in the future. Like any medium, there are certain things that we need to consider before we use this. Does it add value? Who are the audience and how are they going to interact with it, and where they're going to interact? What is it that you want to achieve from it? And ultimately, is it going to be value for money? Only then, when it's used properly, do we ensure that this is not going to be just a gimmick and is actually going to drive real results. And I know I'm literally just hit the final minutes of time. So that is everything from me. Thank you very, very much for listening.
Ben, firstly, kudos for the timing. That was very well done on that. Very efficiently done. Secondly, though, in terms of some of the other presentations we've seen this week, there's been new developments, new elements to things, which, you know, I'm pleased to see. I think it's great people are going, but this, I just feel it's just next level. It's one of those things that, you know, it's just like, wow, you know, the visuals you've shown there, it's just
Yeah.
something like completely different. So I've had a little bit of experience of augmented reality. I hosted a big award ceremony for the NHS sort of 3 or 4 months back, and that was in like a green screen studio, and they put me into one of these worlds. And
Yeah.
you know, from everything I've done over lockdown, you know, I've just got my head around, you know, working with green screens, doing things virtually, you know, sort of setting up studios in my own home kind of thing. And then to go into something like that, my head just went it was that real big step moving forward. And we just got a message come in from Michael. Great stuff. These environments are gorgeous and quite interesting. But what I'm wondering about is why our Zoom calls will become much more personal and face-to-face as a result. How will engaging with one another as avatars improve our interpersonal communication? Great question,
So,
Michael. What are your thoughts?
so particularly through virtual reality is where these are going to improve, and that technology is already out there where you can have a call with a VR headset on. So and the important thing about that is when you have a VR headset on in particular, you have a sense of presence, so it feels like you are in the room together. These technologies in the 3D space are so powerful, it tricks your subconscious. You know, if you put on a VR headset and you stand on the top of a building, you feel vertigo. And it's similarly the same trick is when you're in a virtual space with other people, even if they're represented as avatars, you know it's an avatar, but you still feel that connection in a very, very different way than you would just face to face through Zoom. And it's one of those things that's difficult to explain until you've actually been in it and you realize, oh wow, it's this is an immersive experience. So it's things like that that are going to add that to the Zoom call type experience, beyond just having a digital representation of yourself online. It's going to be very much wearing headsets and feeling like you're in a room together.
That's it. And I've been to exhibitions and before where we've had the virtual headsets on, like you say, you're walking a plank out over a building, and all of a sudden, yeah, you're walking on a plank over, you know, 50 stories high. That is very, very immersive. So, yeah,
Yeah.
interesting stuff there. I say it's a shame we haven't got more time to talk about this because I think there's so many possibilities, and it is, you know, as I say, from a lot of people's perspective, probably very far-reaching of what, you know, we're sort of used to at the minute, you know, what we've all sort of had to adapt to over the sort of last few months, and I think it is a massive step forward. So I'd love to learn more about. I know you mentioned about, you know, people's home PCs. What specs are you going to have? You know, how long is it going to be before people actually can smoothly run this? Because like we say, I'm not sure if Zoom's a swear word on this event as such, but you know, people are still working on home and laptops. They haven't got a stable connection. They're still working on a
Yeah.
terrible old laptop, which is a bit iffy, you know. And just looking at the time scale and move forward, I'd love to carry on, but as I say, we are pushed for time.
No
but as I say, really.
Sorry, one final point on that you're mentioning is around the hardware and the speed. The big thing that's going to change it is 5G technology. The processing power will then transfer from your machine up into the cloud, which allows you to have that game engine type experience on any device. So it's not processing on your device, it's up in the cloud.
Interesting. There we go. We've all learned something today there, ladies and gents. So I'd say really, really fascinating stuff. As I say, the visuals were stunning. As I say, I'll be definitely having a look into what you guys do a little bit more. So Ben, thank you very much for joining us and showing us all that today.
Thank you.
So there we go. Hope you enjoyed it, ladies and gents. So say real eye-opener of what the future could well potentially look like and just how quick it is coming as well. What we're going to do now is take a short break. Our next session is at 2:00, and that is Savvy Sponsorships, securing the best sponsorship opportunities for your event. So we're going to take a short break, and we're going to have a tech demo from Hubs 101.